If there is one theme park I continue to appreciate a little bit more with every visit, it has to be SeaWorld Orlando. Doesn't really matter what I'm doing in Florida, if I'm visiting the Sunshine State, a trip to SeaWorld is a must. The park continues to improve their attraction lineup year after year. SeaWorld has 7 roller coasters in operation, with another one on the way for 2024. There really is something here for everyone. If you love roller coasters, shows, animals, thrill rides, food, SeaWorld's got you covered. In this video, I thought it would be fun to rank all of their major attractions, excluding Sesame Street Land and the shows, of course. Before we dive into this ranking video, please do me a favor by clicking on that like button, and if you're new to my channel, love roller coasters, theme parks, and especially SeaWorld Orlando, make sure to subscribe. Number 9, Super Grover's Boxcar Derby. Starting at the very bottom of this list has to be the Family Kiddie roller coaster. Super Grover's Boxcar Derby is a decent family coaster, but it clearly can't compete with the other amazing attractions found inside this park. With a long 14-car train, Super Grover's is able to hold 28 passengers at a time, making this one of the more efficient kiddie coasters in operation. For the best experience, I recommend riding near the back to get a little whip as you are yanked over that first drop. Number 8, Sky Tower. It's always great when a park has an observation tower or whatever else it might be that allows you to soak in everything from the skies. Sky Tower is located right along the lake, providing some excellent views of their roller coasters and attractions. Now, if you are not a SeaWorld Pass member, you will have to pay a fee to ride this attraction, which is a real bummer. I'm not sure why this is the case, as I've been to many parks with a Sky Tower attraction or something similar that is usually just part of the admission. One more negative, if you love to shoot video and pictures, you'll have to work around all the smudges on the glass. I'm sure it must be hard to keep the glass clean, so it is what it is, I guess. Number 7, Journey to Atlantis. SeaWorld has 2 great water attractions. The first to hit my list is their water roller coaster, Journey to Atlantis. Most of this ride feels and functions like any other log flume style attraction, but once you complete that final lift, the ride ends with a little roller coaster section of track. It's not much, but enough to classify this attraction as a roller coaster. The ride boasts some nice theming and storytelling, making it the most themed attraction of the park. Well, at least for now anyways. The ride will also feature some of the longer lines in the park, mostly because, well, you will get wet on this ride, or at least just a little. It is very nice on a hot summer day in Florida, as we'll mention here in just a couple minutes on another attraction, but nonetheless, it's really nice to just get cooled off, and what a better ride to do it than on a fun family water roller coaster. Number 6, Kraken. Journey to Atlantis may be their first quote-unquote roller coaster, but Kraken was their first major thrill machine. For its time, this was an impressive new addition, featuring 7 inversions and floorless trains. Kraken became the talk of the town. Now, floorless roller coasters feel like a dime a dozen, but Kraken continues to keep itself relevant. The park recently gave this attraction a major facelift, including new fresh coat of paint and color scheme. The new colors look so much better than the original tan and light blue colors. Now, for a couple negatives, the first is that Kraken can have slower operations. Not really sure what the main reason is for this one, but I think it's mostly due to being understaffed in the station, well, at least when I'm visiting the park anyways. Second is the rattle. Depending on where you are seated, Kraken can develop a rattle. If you make your way to the middle seat of any row, this usually lessens the rattle effect and provides a more enjoyable ride experience. Number 5, Infinity Falls. On a hot summer day in Florida, I think it's no surprise that Infinity Falls can gather the longest line in the park. Designed by Intimate Amusement Rides, Infinity Falls features some great use of terrain, rock work, fun rapids, and of course, the star moment of the ride, the elevator lift and big finale drop. The raft flies underneath a bridge, causing a wave of water to splash into the side of the bridge, so even if you aren't riding, you can still find a way to cool yourself off. Unfortunately, being intimate and all, Infinity Falls has a lot of downtime. Every time I've been at the park, this ride experiences either a delayed opening or random breakdowns throughout the day. If you can snag a ride first thing, then I say go for it, but if it's broken down or whatnot, no worries, a world-class hyper is only a few hundred feet away. Okay, we've reached the top 4 attractions, and this is where my list gets tough. The remaining roller coasters on this list are all great, but in what order they rank can be quite tricky. Number 4, Icebreaker. This roller coaster had a hard time getting out the gate. By that I mean it was supposed to open in 2020, but the pandemic managed to delay this attraction for another 2 years. Well, the wait was worth it because Icebreaker is a solid addition to SeaWorld. The ride starts off with a transfer track that rolls on over to the launch. The ride launches backwards, then forward, backwards once more, and then one final launch forward, sending you over the small but excellent top hat. Icebreaker is supposed to be a family coaster, but judging by its strong ejector airtime moments, I think it's a little bit more than a simple family coaster. Also, for those who rode this ride in 2022 might remember those pesky over-the-shoulder quote-unquote comfort collars. Yeah, they were anything but comfortable. Plus, they also upped the ride height limit to 54 inches, which is crazy. Thankfully, the park was able to remove those collars, rolling into the 2020 season, reducing its height limit to a more family-friendly 48 inches. Number 3, Pipeline the Surf Coaster. The brand new roller coaster for 2023. Honestly, I was expecting to dislike this attraction. Pipeline is the reimagining of the classic stand-up coaster, but with a slight twist, or should I say, bounce. The seats are capable of bobbing up and down, reducing the forces on the body, mostly the legs, creating a more exciting ride experience. There are a lot of great things about Pipeline. First is the stand-up trains. I used to hate stand-up coasters until I rode Pipeline. Hopefully B&M, the manufacturer of this attraction, is able to build more and come up with even more crazier designs. Next is the launch. I didn't think much of this launch until I rode it. This is a forceful launch that pushes you back into your seat. Finally, it's the airtime. I was not expecting so much airtime. It's not crazy or ejector airtime or anything, but just nice pops of floater airtime that lets you kick your legs out as you soar over those hills. The only negative has to be the restraints. The vest restraints can be quite restrictive to certain riders, and if you are on the taller side, like myself, the straps will start digging into your collars. I only started to notice the discomfort on the third ride, which tells me this is only a minor negative, but for others, the discomfort was experienced during their first ride. Regardless though, Pipeline is a fun roller coaster that fits in excellently at SeaWorld. I keep going back and forth between the two final roller coasters. Manta is a flying roller coaster that has some great inversions, strong forces, and excellent scenery interactions. Mako is an airtime machine, one of the best hyper roller coasters in operation. You really can't compare the two because they are completely different ride experiences, but in the end, only one can be the best in the park and the other the runner-up, which leads me to Number 2, Manta. Dare I call this a perfect roller coaster? Honestly, I can't think of a single thing to change. Could you add more theming? Sure, but it would be unnecessary. The ride starts off with a fun dive drop that leads us into a powerhouse element of the ride, the pretzel loop. When you flip upside down diving back to Earth, the G-forces are just crushing your chest. It's a crazy moment of intensity, followed by mostly graceful elements and fun interactions. The diving turn over the body of water is my second favorite part. Not only is this a cool moment on the ride, but super cool to watch on the ground. Manta flies close to a waterfall, trees, and of course, the water, creating multiple exciting moments. I know I keep saying that, exciting moments, well, because this ride has so many exciting moments. Even the other inversions on this ride are so much fun. They're not intense like the pretzel loop, but continue that illusion of flying through the sky. Even though it's not part of the actual ride, the giant aquarium that is the ride queue is super cool to check out. Even if you don't want to ride Manta, there's an observation pathway next to the ride entrance. Number 1, Mako. I feel like with every passing year I ride Mako, this roller coaster continues to get better and better. The best seats on this ride are of course up front or in the very back. This is where you will get the most out of those airtime moments. Speaking of airtime, Mako has a couple fantastic moments of floater airtime. That first camelback will send you flying out of your seats for a few seconds. In fact, every hill contains a decent amount of airtime. If you ride in the very back, that first drop is another great moment of airtime. Because I'm a huge fan of airtime is why Mako will reach the number 1 slot. But this roller coaster isn't without its flaws. After the mid-course brake run, Mako kind of meanders along as it works its way back to the station. Not to say that this final third of the ride is boring, but compared to the great airtime moments that came before, this feels more like filler than thrills. Well, that's my ranking of all the major attractions at SeaWorld Orlando. For those who have been to this park, tell me how you rank their attractions. Depending on what you enjoy could create a whole new ranking. The park's top 4 attractions are excellent, and depending on the day and mood, you might be able to convince me to shift my rankings. All I know is their lineup is only going to get better with their 2024 edition, Penguin Trek. This is going to be a multi-launching family roller coaster with over 3,000 feet of track and interactions with the Penguin exhibit. I can't wait to check this one out. Well, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on more great content coming your way by Extreme Thrills.